Tonight we are going deep on a story you've probably never heard. It's about a top-secret mission from World War II, one that's packed with incredible bravery, some serious family drama, and a single tragic moment that, believe it or not, completely changed the course of American history. Let's get right into it.
Everything really just boils down to this. One pilot, one plane, one secret mission. The whole plan was audacious, the stakes were sky high, and the consequences, well, nobody could have possibly seen those coming.
So let's meet our guy. It's an evening in August of 1944, and a young American pilot, we're just gonna call him Mr. Joe, is walking out to his plane on an airbase in England. He's about to fly a mission that is so secret and so incredibly dangerous that he privately thinks it's a one-way trip. And yet, he volunteered for it. The big question is, why?
Okay, to really get why he'd make that choice, you have to understand the threat they were facing. By 1944, the Nazis were on the ropes, and that made them desperate and a whole lot more dangerous. They had just unleashed a brand new kind of terror on Great Britain.
That desperation on the Nazi side led the Allies to cook up an equally desperate plan of their own, Operation Aphrodite. Now this is where it gets kind of wild. The idea was to take a massive bomber, strip out everything non-essential, pack it to the gills with explosives, and then fly it by remote control straight into a high-value target. It was less of an airplane and more of a primitive pilot-flown cruise missile, really the first of its kind.
And the target for this crazy mission was one of Hitler's so-called vengeance weapons. These things were terrifying, huge, indiscriminate bombs that were just raining down on cities like London. They'd already killed 50,000 civilians. And now, Allied intelligence thought they'd found a new, massive stockpile that was being aimed right at London, but it was buried so deep inside these fortified mountain bunkers that regular bombs couldn't even scratch it.
So you see, the solution had to be just as massive. The plane that Mr. Joe was about to fly wasn't carrying bombs. It was the bomb. Engineers had crammed it with an unbelievable 10 tons of high explosives.
And this chart just perfectly lays out how different this plane was. A normal B-24 Liberator, it's got a full crew, real working guns, and it's designed to come home. But the Aphrodite version was basically a hollowed out shell. The cockpit was stripped bare for a fast bailout, the guns were literally just iron bars painted black to look scary from a distance, and its only job was to completely destroy itself.
So you have to ask yourself, who in their right mind would volunteer to fly a machine like that? A plane you aren't even supposed to land? To get that, we have to look past the pilot's uniform and see the man, Mr. Joe, and the incredible weight he was carrying on his shoulders.
You see, Mr. Joe wasn't just any pilot. He was the eldest son of an incredibly powerful, incredibly ambitious American political family. His father had basically groomed him from birth with one single massive expectation, that one day he would be President of the United States. And this created this fierce rivalry with his younger brother, who, just to make things worse, had recently become a huge national war hero.
And here's the real kicker. Mr. Joe had already flown all his required missions. His tour of duty was up. He literally had a ticket home in his pocket. He didn't have to be there. So why on earth would he volunteer for what was, without a doubt, the most dangerous mission available?
It's because he felt like he had everything to prove. With his younger brother getting all the headlines and all of their father's admiration, Mr. Joe felt like he needed one grand, historic act of heroism to take back his spot as the family's chosen son, the one destined for the presidency. Operation Aphrodite, he thought, was his big chance.
And so as the sun started to go down on August 12, 1944, Mr. Joe and his co-pilot, a guy named Mr. Bud, walked out towards their flying bomb, totally convinced they were about to make history.
The timeline was incredibly tight. At 5:59 p.m., they were wheels up. The plane literally groaned and shuddered, fighting to get airborne under all that weight. By 6:15, they'd successfully handed off remote control to a chase plane that was flying right alongside them. So now, at 6:20 p.m., flying over the English Channel, they were basically just passengers, getting ready for the last, most critical part of the whole mission.
The whole procedure came down to 4 simple but terrifying steps. Control was already transferred, so that was done. Now, Mr. Joe just had to flip the arming switch for the 10 tons of explosives, radio the code word "Spade Flush" to let everyone know the bomb was live, and then he and Mr. Bud had to jump out. They had practiced it again and again. They were ready.
So Mr. Joe reaches for that control panel. He finds the arming switch. You have to imagine he's thinking about the glory, the newspaper headlines, the proud look on his father's face. But what happened next? It wasn't glory. It was just awful.
He flipped the switch. He grabbed the radio and he yelled the code word, spade flush. And then, nothing. Just a massive fireball that lit up the evening sky. No one knew it, but a single faulty wire in this new, complex remote system had caused all 10 tons of explosives to detonate the second they were armed. Mr. Joe and Mr. Bunn were gone in an instant.
The mission was a complete and catastrophic failure. But the real gut punch, the true tragedy, is this. It never should have happened at all. Their sacrifice was for absolutely nothing. Here's what the American planners of Operation Aphrodite didn't know. Britain's Royal Air Force had already handled the problem. See, 5 weeks earlier, they had used these deep-penetration earthquake bombs and had totally obliterated that V weapon site. The target Mr. Joe died trying to reach, it didn't even exist anymore. London was never in danger that day. The entire mission was based on a fatal intelligence failure.
But wait, this story of a tragic, pointless mission has one last reveal. And this is the one that changes everything. Because even though Operation Aphrodite had zero effect on the outcome of World War II, the death of its pilot had a massive, profound effect on the future of America. Mr. Joe was Joseph P. Kennedy Jr., the eldest son of the famous Kennedy clan. The man his father, Joseph Sr., had spent a lifetime grooming to be President of the United States.
And right here is where history pivots on a dime. The family's grand plan was always for Joe Jr. to be president. His celebrated younger brother, the war hero, was John F. Kennedy. And it was JFK's heroism that pushed Joe Jr. to take on this insane mission to prove himself. With Joe Jr.'s death, all of the family's immense political ambition, all their money and resources, it all shifted to the next son in line. The path was suddenly, tragically, cleared for John F. Kennedy to run for office and eventually to become the 35th president.
Just think about that for a second. One tiny, faulty wire on a secret mission that was totally unnecessary. And because of that one little thing, the entire path of a political dynasty and of the country itself was changed forever. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, how fragile history actually is. How many other forgotten moments like this have shaped the world we're living in right now?